Okay, you hear Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, and multi-million-dollar lawsuit, and you think you know what's coming, right? A huge celebrity showdown. But what if I told you the main company they sued was the wrong one?
Yeah.
This is the wild story of a lawsuit that got a serious case of mistaken identity before it even got off the ground.
So, this whole story kicks off with what seems like a standard copyright claim. But man, it gets complicated fast. It turns into this crazy puzzle of corporate ownership. And that's really the big question we're going to dig into here. If you're going after a huge website, how on earth do you make sure you're suing the right people?
All right, let's rewind and start from square one. Because at first glance, this thing looked totally open and shut. A classic copyright case, nothing more to see here, or so it seemed.
So here's the deal. A photographer, Bryn Burns, says Realtor.com snatched her photos of Travis Kelce's Kansas City house and used them without paying up. The lawsuit basically says, hey, you're just trying to ride the whole Taylor and Travis wave to get clicks, which, would totally mess with her ability to sell those photos herself. Seems pretty cut and dry, right?
Okay, but then you look at the timeline and things start to get a little weird. So the pictures are from way back in September 2022, before Kelce even owned the place. He buys it in 2023. The lawsuit hits in October 2023. But get this, the photos weren't officially registered with the Copyright Office until January 2024. That's months after she filed the lawsuit. That's not usually how this works. It's a huge clue that this case isn't as simple as it looks.
And yep, it got complicated, all right? Just when you're settling in, the whole story takes a massive plot twist. The biggest name on the defendant list, the one with the deepest pockets, poof, gone.
I'm not kidding. News Corp, the giant media company that everyone knows, the supposed parent company of Realtor.com, is suddenly dismissed from the case. The main target, the big money, just walks away. You have to be asking, how in the world does that happen?
So the official legal term for this is dismissed without prejudice, and that's super important. It basically means the door isn't completely slammed shut. The photographer Bryn Burns could technically try to sue News Corp again down the road for the same issue, but for right now, they are totally in the clear. And that leads us right to the heart of this whole mess. Why on earth would you, the person filing the lawsuit, let the biggest fish you've hooked get away? It seems crazy, right? Well, the answer shows there was a huge mistake made right at the very beginning. To figure this out, we've got to pull back the curtain and look at the corporate structure behind Realtor.com. And let me tell you, it's a lot more like a tangled spider web than you'd ever guess for a website you probably just, browse for houses on. And here it is, the bombshell. In the official court filing to get News Corp dropped, the plaintiff's own team admitted that News Corp was, and this is a direct quote, arguably the incorrect defendant. Oof! They sued the wrong company. That is a massive and probably pretty expensive mistake to make in a federal case. This table really lays out the whole mix-up. See, the lawsuit went after News Corp thinking they're the big boss, and the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, thinking they run the show. But the reality is way different. News Corp is just the parent of another company. NAR just lets them use the name and the web address. The company that actually runs the day-to-day operations of Realtor.com, it's a subsidiary called Move Inc. And guess what? They weren't even mentioned in the original lawsuit at all.
And you can bet the National Association of Realtors wanted to get out of this mess fast. A spokesperson basically came out and said, "Whoa, hold on. We have absolutely nothing to do with what gets published on that site. That's all on Move Inc." They pretty much said, "Our name's on the door, but we don't work here."
So now that they know who's actually in charge, the whole lawsuit has to pivot. The plaintiff has to completely redirect their legal attack towards the right target this time.
You can see the change pretty clearly here. They started by going after News Corp and NAR. Now, News Corp is gone. NAR is trying to bail, and the real operator, Move Inc., is about to be put in the hot seat.
And that's exactly what's happening next. The photographer's lawyers have signaled they're filing the paperwork to officially add Move Inc. to the lawsuit. They've finally locked on to the right target.
Okay, so after that whole whirlwind of corporate confusion, where does that leave us? What's the next chapter in this celebrity-tangled copyright saga?
All right, here's what to watch for next. Step 1, NAR is still fighting to get out of this, saying, not our problem. Step 2, the photographer is going to file that updated lawsuit, pointing it at the right company this time. And Step 3, Move Inc., the company that's been running the website all this time, will finally officially be named as the defendant. And that's when the real fireworks can start. So, we took a big detour through some pretty dense corporate law. But the original claim that somebody used these photos without permission is still very much alive. It's just been redirected to a new defendant. Which leaves us with one last big question. Was all of this just the warm-up act? Now that the right players are finally in the game, is the real legal battle just getting started?